Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're going deep, really deep. We're plunging headfirst into what some folks are calling an earthquake shaking up hip hop. There's talk of a storm about to hit, as one source put it. And this isn't just, whispers or rumors. We're talking about alleged private conversations, real ones now out in the open.
Yeah, absolutely. We are talking about the explosive young thug jail call leaks. These are recordings that supposedly expose his private thoughts, his plans,
Yay.
all from behind bars.
And it's sending shockwaves, right? Shaking up ideas about loyalty, authenticity,
Yeah,
even digging into some serious legal ethics stuff in the rap world.
totally. And for this deep dive, you should know, we've gone through a lot of material. We've pulled insights from podcasts like Dead Homies and Enemies, Slime Squeal, The Hypocrisy of Slime.
Okay.
And we didn't stop there. We looked at news analyses, pieces like YSL conflicts, legal ethics, and hip-hop loyalty. Plus, YouTube channels, Chig Smooth, Seti Nash, Height 97, Breakfast Club, Intel Hip Hop. We're trying to piece it all together for you.
Right. So, okay, let's unpack this whole thing. Our mission today, it's to help you navigate these, honestly, pretty complex revelations. We want to decode this tangled web of loyalty, maybe betrayal, the legal questions, and figure out what it all actually means for Young Thug, for YSL, and, yeah, for hip-hop culture as a whole. We'll cut through the noise, give you the key takeaways.
Exactly. Get you properly informed.
So let's start right at the source, the messenger in all this, YSL Mondo. His real name is Fernando Crenshaw. Now, he's not just some random guy. He's a co-founder of Young Stoner Life, YSL.
Right. He was there from the ground floor.
And he's been making some incredibly bold claims lately, like really shocking stuff.
That's putting it mildly. Mondo's role was foundational. He talks about meeting Thug, naming the original 6 members. His ties are deep. But he's also been pretty open about feeling uncomfortable with, like, yes men situations, toxic environments.
Okay, so there's some history there, some tension maybe.
Seems like it. And that might be fueling what he's doing now. He says he has the real jail recordings, not rumors, he stresses this, but actual tapes of Young Thug plotting, dissing, playing chess with people's lives.
Wow. Playing chess with people's lives, that's heavy.
It is. And his stated reason: to expose Thug for what he calls snake moves, backdoor plays, disloyal to the very ones who bled for him. He says he wants people to hear it straight from his mouth. Because, in Mondo's words, the world been worshiping a man that ain't what he say he is. It's also interesting, he initially went hard at Gunna, calling him a rat. Serious stuff.
Yeah, that term carries a lot of weight.
Huge weight. But then he kind of walked it back a bit, saying Gunna technically didn't rat, he just folded under pressure. That shift itself, from rat to folded, it actually says a lot, about the nuances and the codes.
Okay. But here's where my mind immediately goes, and probably yours too. How? How on earth does Mono claim he got these recordings? These are supposed to be confidential jail calls. You don't just, find them on the street.
Exactly. And this is where it gets really tangled. According to Mondo, the person who allegedly helped him get these calls is DA Fani Willis.
The district attorney. The one prosecuting the YSL RICO case.
The very same one. Mondo makes this incredibly provocative claim. He alleges Willis opened the door for him. He even said she slid the keys in my palm and told me, "Do you feel is right?"
Whoa, okay, hold on. Fani Willis and Mondo, what's their connection?
It's fascinating, actually. There's a history. Back in 2019, before she was DA, Willis was a private defense attorney. And guess who she represented?
Let me guess, Mondo.
You got it. She represented Mondo, helped him get aggravated assault charges reduced, got him into a diversion program instead of jail time.
A diversion program. Remind us what that is.
Sure. It's basically an alternative route. Instead of facing full prosecution and potentially a conviction, you agree to certain conditions, counseling, maybe community service, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
If you complete it successfully, the charges can be dropped. So she helped him avoid serious consequences.
Okay, so they had a professional relationship.
Mondo described it as more than just professional. He called it deeply personal and respectful. Likened their talks to auntie to nephew, or even mother to son. Willis herself confirmed the attorney-client relationship, and she did say she liked him.
Right. But then she becomes DA and leads the charge against YSL.
Precisely. That's the dramatic shift. As DA, Willis spearheaded the massive RICO indictment against YSL. Young Thug, many others. But not Mondo. He wasn't indicted.
Okay, IRCO, that's the big one, right, for organized crime.
Exactly. Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act. It's used to target ongoing criminal enterprises. So yeah, it's serious. And Mondo's reaction to Willis indicting his former associates, people he came up with, he said, "He was just my lawyer. How can you turn around and try to indict a This shit is weird to me."
I mean, yeah, you can see why he'd feel that way.
Absolutely. And during the trial, defense lawyers actually brought this up. They raised concerns about a potential conflict of interest because of Willis having represented Mondo before.
And what happened with...
Well, it was noted in court records, but the judge didn't formally resolve the issue. It was just sort of left hanging.
Yeah.
Mondo's personal take was pretty clear, though. He believed she can't use no information. Conflict of interest, period.
So, putting aside the court's official stance for a moment, if Mondo's claim is true, that the DA helped him leak these calls, what does that even mean? For legal ethics, for how people see the justice system?
Huge. I mean, if true, you're looking at potential prosecutorial misconduct, a serious breach of confidentiality, maybe an abuse of power. A DA's job is supposed to be about impartial justice.
Right. Not feeding personal vendettas or selectively leaking stuff.
Exactly. It completely undermines public trust. It makes you wonder if justice is being influenced by personal relationships or grudges. It's a really serious allegation with massive implications for the perception of fairness.
Okay. Let's pivot from the messenger and these really heavy ethical questions to the message itself, the content. What is Young Thug allegedly saying in these leaks that's causing such an uproar?
Well, a big piece is definitely Gunna. Thug is reportedly heard calling Gunna out specifically for taking an Alford plea. And he frames it as being disloyal.
Okay, Alford plea. Can you break that down simply? It sounds kind of technical.
Yeah, it's a bit unusual, but important here. An Alford plea basically means the defendant doesn't admit they did it, but they do admit the prosecution probably has enough evidence to convict them if it went to trial.
Okay. So it's like saying, I'm not guilty, but you probably win anyway.
Sort of, yeah. It's often used strategically to get a lighter sentence, avoid a risky trial. But in the context of street codes, and definitely within hip-hop's unwritten rules,
It looks bad.
it can look really bad. It's often seen as folding, like Mondo said, or even worse, as ratting, because you're essentially giving the state a win without fighting it, even if you don't technically snitch on anyone else.
Gotcha. So Thug sees that as disloyal. What else?
Beyond the plea itself, the calls allegedly reveal Thug talking about strategy, specifically undercutting Gunna's album, A Gift and a Curse. How? By dropping his own album, Business is Business, on the exact same day.
Oof. That's cold, dropping on the same day. That's not an accident.
Doesn't seem like it. It feels like a very direct, competitive move, almost retaliatory.
Okay, so that's pretty aggressive towards someone who was like his right-hand man for a long time. What else do the calls supposedly reveal about how Thug views the music game?
Well, this part is really interesting for anyone curious about the business side of music today. The calls allegedly have Thug admitting to using artificial tactics,
Meaning?
like buying streams, purchase streams to influence chart performance. He supposedly even talks about trying to outdo Morgan Wallen's big album, One Thing at a Time.
Buying streams. Like paying for fake plays to make your numbers look bigger.
That's the implication.
Got it.
And allegedly talking about buying chart positions for both his own album and Gunna's, which adds another layer of weirdness.
Wow. So if that's true, it really pulls back the curtain, doesn't it, on how those charts actually work sometimes.
Totally. It feeds into this whole debate about authenticity in the streaming era. Is that #1 spot organic? Or is it sometimes manufactured? You hear whispers about bot farms inflating numbers.
Right.
And these alleged comments, if they're real, they just add fuel to that fire. It forces you, the listener, to ask, what does chart success even mean today? It's not just about Thug, it's about the whole system, maybe.
So based on these leaks, it sounds like Thug's criticism wasn't just aimed at Gunna. It seems like these calls give us a much wider and maybe pretty critical view of how he sees his peers.
Oh, definitely. It wasn't just Gunna. Kendrick Lamar apparently comes up. Thug reportedly criticizes Kendrick pretty hard for reportedly avoiding features, calls it selfish behavior.
Selfish. Interesting.
Yeah. And there's supposedly a quote where Thug says Kendrick would never be bigger than Drake. And crucially, that Kendrick did not put anybody on, meaning he didn't help bring up other artists.
And he contrasts that with Drake.
Right. He apparently praises Drake for doing the opposite, for uplifting other artists and fucking with everybody, collaborating widely. So it shows you Thug's own philosophy, maybe, on what makes an artist influential beyond just their own music.
Okay, who else?
Lil Durk also gets mentioned. Thug allegedly complained about Durk taking too long to clear a verse for his Business is Business album, said Durk was acting different.
Different how?
Just changed, maybe distant, and also accused him of talking cap online, exaggerating or fronting. Thug apparently felt like he'd done a lot for Durk's career, like players shoot for the boy, he reportedly said.
But is there another side to that story?
Well, yeah. Commentators like Seti Nash have pointed out maybe Durk was just legitimately busy. Label stuff, his own career was blowing up huge at that time.
Right, he had massive momentum.
Massive. And some argue it was actually Drake's feature, not necessarily Thug's help, that really propelled Durk to that next level. So it adds nuance, right? It shows these relationships are complicated. It's not always a clear-cut case of loyalty or disloyalty. Sometimes it's just business, timing, different pressures.
Makes sense. So a lot of tensions bubbling under the surface with other rappers. Anyone else mentioned? Labels, maybe?
Oh, yeah. QC, quality control, comes up.
Yep.
Thug reportedly had some disses about QC being too dependent on Lil Baby for their success.
Implying maybe they weren't as strong overall.
Kind of. And suggesting that Migos, another huge QC act, no longer moved the needle. Basically saying they weren't as relevant or impactful anymore. He even implied they were in the red.
In the red, meaning losing money.
Yeah, that's the usual business meaning. This is all happening around the time QC got acquired by Hive Records, and there were already rumors swirling about tensions, especially involving Lil Baby wanting out or restructuring his deal. So Thug's alleged comments tap into existing industry chatter.
Gotcha. Anyone else?
Even Gucci Mane gets a mention. Thug allegedly talked about Gucci going soft after getting out of prison.
Soft how?
Like becoming too friendly with QC, who Thug apparently believed was a snitch organization or had snitches involved. So it's this complex web of Atlanta rap politics, old beefs, changing alliances. It's a lot.
Man, it really is. So stepping back, what's the bigger impact of all this? These leaks, the sheer volume, the stuff being said, it must be causing waves.
Huge waves. And that hypocrisy angle Mondo raised really resonates. He said, whole internet clown and Gunna calling her a rat. But now these calls come out, and who sound like he's squealing? Slime.
Yeah, that quote, snake turned into the rat, that's provocative.
Extremely. It highlights the irony, doesn't it? Thug criticizing Gunna for folding, but then his own alleged private words show him talking reckless, strategizing against peers, admitting to maybe shady industry tactics.
It creates a real contrast.
A stark one. And connecting it to the bigger picture, it just pours gasoline on these endless debates in rap about street credibility, loyalty, authenticity. What do those words even mean when someone's public image seems so different from their alleged private actions? It forces everyone, fans included, to question things.
How are people close to Thug reacting? His sister, maybe?
Yeah, his sister, Dolly White, she came out swinging, defended Thug fiercely against any snitch talk, and she pointed the finger directly at Mondo.
What did she say about Mondo's motives?
She made it sound really personal, claimed this whole thing stems from a time Thug didn't shake Mondo's hand at a club, like a personal slight blown way out of proportion.
Wow. If that's true, it makes it seem less about exposing truth and more about revenge.
That's certainly the picture she painted. Dolly also called for unity in Atlanta hip-hop, urged Thug to just focus on music, let the music talk. She argued, the system is already against him, every move he makes is being watched. Basically, stop feeding the drama.
And this isn't the first time Thug's faced snitch accusations, right? There was something before.
Yeah, there was that whole situation with an alleged interrogation video connected to the Lil Wayne tour bus shooting years ago.
Yeah.
That definitely fueled similar narratives back then. So this stuff taps into pre-existing questions for some people.
Okay, so while all this drama swirls around Thug, what's Gunna been up to? You mentioned Mondo walked back the rat comment slightly.
Gunna's path has been visibly different. He seems focused on what's been described as a powerful physical and mental transformation.
Yeah.
You see him with his run club, getting fit, looking healthy.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of that. It looks intense.
Right. And career-wise, he's basically a free agent.
Yeah.
Now, his last album was on Thug's label, YSL Records 300 Atlantic.
Yeah.
But crucially, reports say his concerts are still selling out.
So his career hasn't completely tanked, despite the plea and the criticism.
Doesn't seem like it. His approach focusing inward, on health, on his work, it really contrasts with the ongoing controversy. It actually reminds me of that advice 21 Savage supposedly gave Thug about Gunna.
What was that?
The gist was, he did what was best for him. Y'all should do what was best for y'all and let him. Like, let's move on. It's a different way of looking at it, right?
Right.
A more pragmatic view, maybe. Focus on your own path.
Yeah, move forward instead of staying stuck in the conflict.
Exactly. And you hear echoes of that in general commentary, too. People saying things like, the streets are exhausting and corny.
Yeah.
Encouraging artists to focus on the legitimate business, leave the drama behind.
And what advice are people giving thugs specifically amidst all this?
Well, the practical stuff is assume every single jail call is recorded. Because, yeah, well, they usually are. Focus on the music. But then there's also this other angle, suggesting he needs to find a way to explain his mindset during that time in jail.
Like therapy.
Maybe. Some suggested a mental health guru or a therapy session, not necessarily for treatment, but as a way to articulate what he was going through, to potentially offer an apology, maybe to Gunna, maybe more broadly. The idea being that could be a path towards healing, rebuilding trust, both personally and with the public.
Interesting thought. A way to reframe the narrative.
Potentially. It's all incredibly messy.
No kidding. We've definitely taken a deep dive today. It's so complex, so many layers, alleged legal breaches, DA involvement, deep hip-hop rivalries, industry tactics, all spilling out from these supposed jail calls. It really touches on trust, power, how things are perceived.
Absolutely. And if you connect it all back, the big takeaways are pretty clear. Mondo's role, his claims about Fani Willis, those raised huge questions about the justice system itself.
Right.
Then you have Thug's alleged private thoughts. Super candid, often really critical of his peers. It just rips the lid off industry tensions, the shaky ground of loyalty in a tough business.
Yeah.
And maybe the biggest thing, it just intensifies this whole ongoing debate about what street cred, loyalty, and authenticity even mean anymore in hip-hop, especially when private words clash so hard with public personas.
So, as we wrap up, here's something for you, the listener, to chew on. Thinking about how easily private stuff becomes public now, especially for famous people, and how much hip-hop culture scrutinizes loyalty. What does authenticity really mean for an artist today? How do they navigate those lines between personal relationships, professional rivalries, their public image, their private thoughts, all under this intense digital spotlight? Can you really live two lives, one for the street, one for the music, without them crashing into each other eventually?
Yeah.
Think about it. What would you do if your most private, maybe unfiltered thoughts suddenly became public knowledge and started defining who everyone thinks you are?